Have you ever wanted pleasure? Really intense and passion. And then when you're starting to feel it, your body just tenses up. Somewhere it drifts away, not because you don't want it, not because anything is wrong, but because somewhere inside, that pleasure has become connected with pressure. The pressure to respond, the pressure to perform, the pressure to continue, the pressure to give something you never wanted to give in the first place. Sometimes the body isn't rejecting the pleasure itself. Sometimes it's rejecting the pressure that seems to come with it. And that matters. That distinction matters. Because if pleasure has started to feel like another demand, another requirement, then telling yourself just to relax and enjoy it just creates more pressure. So in this episode, we're going to explore what happens when receiving no longer feels completely free. And then we'll move into a gentle somatic practice. Not to force your body to open, not to make you feel more pleasure than you genuinely want to feel, but to explore how that one sensation, that one pleasure can be free of requirement, can be free of pressure, can be yours. Hi, it's Damien, and this is Tantric Flame. This podcast is intended as a space for women who are capable, switched on, and often carry more than most people can ever see, but who may have begun to wonder, what happened to the intimacy? What happened to the pleasure? What happened to the sensuality? Now, you can feel this in many ways. It might be a tightening or distraction of becoming aware of yourself, how you look, how you sound, whether you're responding enough in the right way, whether your partner is expecting something from you that you're just not giving. You may find yourself watching yourself rather than experiencing pleasure, letting go. And afterwards you may wonder, why couldn't I just relax? Why couldn't I just let myself go and enjoy it? Why did I disappear? And why did something that is meant to be so relaxing and pleasurable suddenly feel like work, like effort? If any of that sounds familiar, then this episode's for you. Because the problem may not be that your body cannot receive pleasure. It may well be that you have linked pleasure to responsibility, to a task. Now this happens rather easily, oddly enough. Pleasure begins as a sensation, we know that. It begins as a warmth, a tingling, something soothing, relaxing, something that feels good, or at least slightly more welcome than neutral sometimes. But then, on top of that, another layer can arrive. A question, a prediction, an expectations. Suddenly we're asking ourselves, what does this mean? What happens next? Am I responding in the right way? Am I making the right sounds? Is my body doing what it should be doing? Do they expect me to continue even though I don't feel like it? Am I doing this correctly? And do I owe them something in return? Is this now a debt? And the body can begin to experience those questions as pressure, as hassle. And so the sensation itself may not be the problem. There is a demand attached to the sensation that is really the source of the problem. Pleasure is a sensation. Pressure is a demand attached to that sensation. So when the body senses demand, it may begin to prepare. prepare for pressure. The breath becomes smaller, the muscles tightened. The mind suddenly becomes busy. You begin to watch yourself, or you leave the body altogether, not dramatically, sometimes just a little. You move into your thoughts. You begin observing the experience instead of living it, feeling it. And the more you notice yourself disconnecting, the more you may try to force yourself back into that moment, to lever yourself back into it, which creates yet another demand and yet another layer of pressure. So when the body pulls away, it may not be refusing pleasure. It may be trying to preserve choice, to keep the options open, because if pleasure has previously meant being watched, evaluated, expected to continue, or expected to give something back, then pulling away makes absolute sense. The body may be asking, is this really free? Can I change my mind? Can I stop without disappointing someone? Can I receive something without owing anything afterwards? Can I just enjoy the pleasure? These are not questions you have to answer intellectually. They're not for your cognitive mind to think about. But these are questions that your body is asking through sensation, through tightening, through numbness, through restlessness. Although the sudden feeling that you are no longer fully there. This does not mean that your body is broken. This is not a malfunction in the nervous system. It does not mean you need to overcome the response. It may simply mean that part of you has learned to be careful with receiving pleasure. So we are not going to tell that part to disappear. We are not going to argue with it. We are going to give it a different experience, a slower experience, an experience where nothing has to intensify, nothing has to be acted upon, nothing has to be given back. And you can remain absolutely free to pause or stop at any time you want. This is not about becoming more open. This is not about proving that you can relax. The goal of this is not to feel more. The goal of this is to feel more freely. And you can do this sitting or laying down. You keep your eyes open or just soften your gaze if it's comfortable to do so. And at any point you can stop listening. You can move, you can look around the room. You can return to the neutral sensation, such as the feeling of your feet on the floor. If anything feels too intense, don't push through it. This practice is about choice, not endurance, not performance, choice. So when you're ready, just go ahead and take a nice deep breath, letting it go slowly. And just take a moment to notice the room around you. You don't have to look for anything special. Just allow your eyes to take in a few ordinary details. The shape of the room, the light, the colors, the distance between you and the objects around you. Notice the surface supporting your body, the chair, the floor, the bed. Notice you are being held by something outside yourself. And now notice that you can change your position. You can open your eyes, you can move your hands. You can shift your weight. You can stop. Because nothing in this practice requires you to continue. Let your body register that. You are here. You have choices. There is no correct way to do this. Now, if it feels right to do so, bring to mind a moment when pleasure began to feel like pressure. Not overwhelming. Nothing you need to revisit in detail. Just a small, recognizable moment. That's all. Perhaps the moment you noticed yourself tightening, or becoming distracted, or wondering what was expected of you. Notice what happens in your body as you bring that moment gently to mind. Where does the pressure appear? Where does it feel strongest? Is it in your chest, your stomach, your throat? Perhaps your shoulders or face, or even lower. Or maybe you just can't locate it clearly at all, and that's okay too. Just notice, does the sensation feel like a tightening, a tensing, a rushing, perhaps a leaning away, or going quiet and disappearing? You don't have to explain it. You don't have to find the cause. You don't have to make it go away. Just simply notice. This is how pressure feels inside me. And if the sensation becomes too strong, just return your attention to the room. Look around. Feel the surface beneath you. Choose something neutral. You are in charge. Now, silently say to yourself, there is a sensation here. And then notice whether another layer appears, a demand, an expectation, a sense that you should respond in a particular way. You should sound a particular way. And you might silently say to yourself, there is a demand attached to this sensation. You don't need to decide whether the demand is reasonable. You don't need to know where it came from. Just notice the difference between the sensation and the meaning that has been placed around it. The sensation is not a promise. A pleasant feeling is not an agreement, is not a contract. Receiving does not mean surrendering your right to choose what happens next. And if it feels comfortable, just allow these words to land gently. Pleasure does not create a debt. You don't have to force yourself to believe that. Just notice what happens in your body when you hear it. Does something soften? Does something tighten? Does another thought appear? Does that phrase feel familiar, strange, comforting, or difficult to receive? There is no correct response. Your response is information, feedback. Now, allow your attention to move away from the pressure signal. Find something neutral, or perhaps 1% pleasant, just a touch pleasant, not overwhelmingly pleasant, not intense, just a small sensation that feels slightly more welcome than neutral. It could be the warmth of your hands, the weight of your clothing, the support beneath your back, the temperature of the air, the feeling of your breath moving naturally, a sound in the room. Let yourself notice it without trying to improve it. You don't need to make it stronger. You don't need to hold on to it. You don't need to turn it into pleasure. Can the sensation be here without becoming a task? Can you notice it without asking? Is this enough? Should I be feeling more? Am I doing this correctly? Just this, a small sensation, a body, a moment, nothing to perform. So just for the next few breaths, allow this sensation to be present without responding to it. You don't have to intensify it. You don't have to express appreciation. You don't have to offer anything in return. Let the sensation exist on its own terms. And notice whether your body expects you to do something with it. Perhaps you feel the impulse to move toward it. Perhaps you feel the impulse to move away. Something you feel nothing at all. All of these are allowed. However you react is feedback. It's perfect. Because receiving is not the same as agreeing to everything that follows. Receiving is not the same as surrendering your freedom, your choice. Receiving can simply mean, I notice what is here, and I remain able to choose. If the sensation fades, let it fade. There is nothing to recover, nothing to fix, nothing to prove. If it becomes clearer, let it become clearer. If it becomes quieter, let it become quieter. Your task is not to create an outcome. Your task is to stay in contact with choice. Now, notice what happens if you allow yourself to move slightly closer to the sensation. Not dramatically, just a small amount of attention, a little more contact, a little more awareness. And notice what happens if you stay exactly where you are. No movement forward, no movement away, just here. And now notice what happens if you move slightly away. Let your attention return to the room. Feel the support beneath you. Notice the space around you. Your body does not have to prove that it wants pleasure by staying. The ability to move away is part of what makes moving toward more meaningful. You have chosen to enjoy it. You have chosen to immerse in it. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to want something and then not want it. You are allowed to receive a moment of pleasure without deciding what happens next. Just enjoy it for what it is. You are allowed to stop before you have a reason that anyone else understands. So just for a moment, allow this practice to settle. Notice what has changed. Perhaps something has softened. Perhaps something tightened. Perhaps you became more aware of pleasure. Perhaps you became more aware of pressure. Perhaps you noticed a small amount of ease. Perhaps nothing obvious happened at all. And you can ask your body gently, what became more noticeable? And what do I want now? The answer may be more, it may be less, it may be stillness, it may be improvement. It may simply be a pause. There is no correct answer. The purpose of this practice was not to create a particular experience. It was to become slightly more honest about your body, about what your body was communicating. Imagine pleasure as a small flame. It doesn't need to be forced higher. It just needs enough space not to be treated as a demand. You do not have to convince your body to receive. You can begin by letting it know that receiving does not cost you your freedom, that a pleasant sensation does not create a debt. that you can move closer, or you can stay where you are, or you can move away and still remain connected to your sensuality. If you notice something today in your body, this is removing the static. This is opening up to a doorway to a deeper pleasure, a deeper sensuality, using a unique blend of somatics and tantrics. And I have created an audio to really open that door. It's free. You can download it, enjoy it in your own time. It's called Flicker. And it really is all about that small flame, about getting that small flame burning safely. So if you notice something that softened, opened, or something simply became more noticeable, then why not join me in Flicker? The link is in this episode's notes. Just follow the link and drop your email. Now, on Sunday, we're going to do the full session. So I look forward to seeing you then. But until then, look after yourself. For the moment, I'm Damien, and this is Tantric Flame.